Hey everybody, welcome back. I just want to do a quick little 1-year update to my review of the Simder MiG 140 flux core welder, because it was just about a year ago, I think on July 2nd or 3rd of 2022, that I did the initial review, and I'll put a link to that above. I'm not going to rehash that whole review, and it is now July 7th of 2023. I'll also put a link to a video I made doing a head-to-head comparison between the Simder MiG 140 and the Vevor MiG 130. And I'll also see if I can squeeze in a link to a video I made where I pretty much posited, hey, you've just bought one of these inexpensive Chinese welders. It came with instructions that make no sense to you, and you have no clue how to get it set up and running. What should you do? I'll put that in there too. You might find that valuable. So back to the Simder MiG 130. I have had it a year. I still use it regularly. One of the reasons I like it so much is because it does run on 220 volts as well as 110. The Vevor I have only runs on 110. Now, I do think the Vevor runs a little smoother on 110 than the Simder does, but I think it's the length of this. The Vevor's gun lead is 3-4 feet shorter than this one, and I don't think that extra long gun lead, which by the way is really nice, I don't think that plays in too well with 110. Now, that's not to say this machine doesn't run acceptably on 110, because it does, and I will demonstrate that shortly. But this machine comes with that nice long lead. It comes with the gun. It comes with a power cord. It comes with a ground clamp. Mine came with the adapter to 220. And it also comes with a stinger for stick welding if you want to do it. On 110 volts, on a decent 20 amp 110 volt circuit, I tend to find I can run 100 to 110 amps before I'm in danger of popping the breaker on longer welds. Short 1-inch, 2-inch welds, you'll probably be fine. But any more than that, and I want to go from my 110 to my 35 amp 220, because welding on 220 is sweet compared to 110. Right now, this machine has an old roll of the Harbor Freight Chicago Electric 030 flux core wire. This is the same wire that Harbor Freight later named Vulcan, and this machine will run 030 or 035. You just pop this little spinning thing off it, and then take the roller down there and flip the roller over, and it has a groove for the other side, and you'll be ready to go. And you can reverse the polarity on this for stick welding. So I have probably run about I don't know, I ran the initial 2-pound spool of wire through it, and then I ran a 1-pound roll of the Lincoln wire, and I think I ran a whole roll of this INE wire through it while I was building the bumpers and Nerf bar, rock slider bars on my old Jeep. So, anything else I want to say before we start welding? I can't think of anything. Thanks to Simder for sending this out to me a year ago to test and review. They also sent me another roll of their wire, because I want to do a welding wire shootout. That's going to be coming up here in a few weeks. I got a couple more rolls of wire I want to get. But other than that, I think we're ready to start welding. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've got these two pieces tacked together. I tacked at this machine, tacked it using 110 volts. It's turned all the way up to 140 for the tack. And what are we, about 3 inches long here? Let me grab a tape so you know how long a piece of material I'm going to be welding. Our weld is going to be right at 3 inches. And the bottom piece is 3/16 inch thick. The top piece is 1/8 inch thick. I'll let you guys do the conversion to metric if you want to. And I am going to be running across one side on 110 volts and or 120 volts here. I think I run about 119. And I'm going to be running the other side on 220 or 230 or whatever the hell it is here. I don't know exactly. And I think I'm going to have it set to about, I don't know, what do you think? 110, 120 for this? Probably 120. Not sure I can run 3 inches at 120 without popping my breaker, but you know what? Let's give it a shot. If not, I'll turn it down to the point where I can weld it. I'd like to weld both sides about the same setting, on 110 and 220. And well, we'll see how it does. Let me get set up and we'll do that. Sorry for the fan noise. I am now set at 117 amps because one of my moans and niggles about this machine originally is it is impossible to get it set to an exact number that you want. And I turn it up, it goes to 121. Turn it down, it goes to 116. Nope, I had 120 exactly there for a second and didn't see it in time. Ah, 118's close enough to 120 for me. We're plugged into 110. I have a setup here which I think is going to let me record the weld. Who knows whether it will or not. I'm going to set both cameras up and let's run this weld. Okay, that welded pretty good. You got to understand that my head's back quite a bit further because of the cameras in the video. Let's get it cleaned up. I'm not the welder I was when I was doing it professionally, and that was decades ago. So there you are. There's the first weld. I'm going to let this thing cool down. I'm going to shut the machine off. I'm going to let that part cool down. And then I'm going to spin it around and come back and we'll do the other side on 220. Okay, I have let that cool down to the point where I can touch it. Still a little warm, but not very much. Of course, it's 110 degrees out here in Arizona today, so it's going to be warm no matter what. I am now, see if I can show you, I am now plugged into, can I tip it up that much? I am now plugged into 220. I am going to leave the setting on the welder exactly the same, and we're going to weld that up. So we are still going to be set at, let it settle itself down here. We're still set at 118. The only difference is now we're plugged into 220. Okay, welding is done. And before you get down there in the comment sections and tell me what a lousy welder I am, keep in mind that I am way further back than I would normally be when I'm welding because I have the cameras and the tripods in front of me. And I'm not the welder I was 30 years ago when I was doing it for a living. I may weld pretty steadily for a couple of weeks, and I might not do it again for months. So I have never regained the form I once had. So this first weld, this is the machine running on 110 volts. And you can tell, despite my crappy weld, you can tell it's quite capable of laying down a weld on 110 volts. And over here, this is it running on 220 volts. And you can see this, in my opinion, is where this particular machine shines. While it certainly does weld acceptably on 110 volts, assuming you got a 20 amp circuit, it really is just smooth as could be on 220. So that is my 1 year update on the Simder Mig 140. It's a good little machine for a budget. If you're on a budget and you need a welder for, 125, 130 bucks, and you can run on 220 and you need 110 as well, this is a great little welder. I still recommend it. My complaints about it are still the same as they were in my initial review, which I did add into the cards. And I also put my comparison to the Vevor in the cards as well. Note the Vevor will not run on 220 and this one will. And that to me is where this one really shines. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, use my links and all that stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.